Hi, my name is Kiawakesho Simmons. I am the CEO and founder of Traverse Culture.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, another interview I could do while being in the pool, underwater, talking to all the sea creatures, alligators, and everything, because this is somebody that I've already have enough research. I know what's going on. You know, Miss Simmons, yeah, from that famous royalty line. She's got a new company. We've traveled with her with 60 people to Kenya in the past, always having a good trip with her former company, Worldview. She has taken a whole nother route. You know how sometimes that can go in business, and she has traversed, but she's taken her, same team, especially in Kenya, her team, awesome team, my gosh. I knew they all came from a three-letter, trained by a three-letter organization by the U.S. government, the way they moved. But that's because she's a former military, former contractor. I can't tell you anything else because I don't want the black helicopter coming and say I said too much. But Kia, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, let's just get into it to let people know, you've been going to Kenya for almost a decade, if not. You've done multiple tours, multiple travels on your own. I mean, not talking about multiple. She may live there part-time now or in the future. Talk to the people about, about what you've done and what you're going to do and how this new company is, going to go in a different direction.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, we've been able to throughout, as you said before, through our partnership and engagement over the last 4 years, take over 100 people to Kenya. And the main focus is travel, right? A lot of people right now, there's a trend that's going on in terms of people returning, if you will, to Africa. And one of our jobs, I think, and our responsibility, I know for sure, is to, garner that gateway to the continent. And we as Traverse Culture now specifically focus on East Africa. But for me and for my company Traverse Culture, and there's a reason why I named it that, we not only focus on the continent, but focus on the global contributions of African people worldwide. And so that is the difference between what I initiated with Worldviews, which I'm grateful for the work that I was able to do with Worldviews. But now Traverse Culture will elevate those efforts in terms of expanding globally, and again, showcasing those contributions of our people globally.
Awesome, awesome. And with the works that you have done and with the works that you are doing, I think a lot of people would want to know, and it's a question I always ask you, how many times do you have to go to Kenya to where you can stay legally? Because people are looking for, other markets to invest in, especially with like BRICS. Is Kenya a place where you would say your average American who maybe it's their first African country can, go and be comfortable to relocate? Unlike what we've seen a lot of people not make it in Tanzania, so give us the game, because Kenya is kind of like that's your home base for Africa.
Yeah. So yes, Kenya is a possibility of a place that you may want to relocate and integrate. I don't support, and I'll say this on your podcast, repatriation. I support integration into a society that already exists. So what we want to do is be able to immerse people in a culture through the language, through the food, through the business culture, so on and so forth, and be able to you have those opportunities to relocate into Kenya. One thing I do appreciate about Kenya is because it is a stable country, and a lot of their immigration laws are similar to the United States. I will say that. So it is not as easy as if you were going to a Sierra Leone. Right now they have an incentive program. If you are able to trace your DNA, you're able to get citizenship. Kenya ain't offering that at this point. However, there's other visas in place. If you were interested in relocating to Kenya right now, and say, for instance, you were retired, you can get the K visa. But you have to be retired and you have to be receiving some type of pension that equals to 25,000 a year. That's one of the visas. There's a humanitarian visa, you have the investment visa, and there's so on and so forth that you can apply for if you are interested in relocating to Kenya. So there are options, but they don't have, I'll be honest, they don't have a temporary residency program at the moment. But this is something that Traverse Culture is currently and actively working with the Kenyan government to start these conversations.
All right. And if you guys have any of those questions, feel free to sit and book yourself a consultation. That means that you're paying the company. You're probably going to talk to Kia. And just remember, you're going to pay ahead of time, not after. This is not, I don't like the meal. Can you make it warmer? Can you give me more? Can I be a vampire? I have to say that because my audience, of course, they hear a lot about the Sierra Leone, opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Took advantage of them, but there is no place in Africa like Kenya. South Africa is probably way more developed as far as the big buildings that people go ooh ah, and you see your Mzungus and ooh ah, and you say, okay, am I really in Africa? You are in Africa. You're just in South Africa, and you're in the tourist area. But when you even come to Nairobi, hit downtown Nairobi, hit Mombasa off the resort, you're going to see your folks. And I think it's the closest thing to what people think of Africa, while Africans still being the top. Now, if y'all don't know from the last interview when Kia was on here, she's been to so many countries. Her passports have passports. So talk about, with maybe I could have it all off with Kenya. You might be like, oh, actually, Kelly, no, I think Namibia or somewhere else, but you've been all over. Is Kenya your favorite because it is so kind of just African and welcoming and English? Give us the game.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yep. Kenya is my favorite country, period. I've been to 45 countries and I've lived in 6 of them, to your point. And I've been to 7 other African countries. And Kenya by far is my favorite. And I want to explain why. And I'm gonna be honest too. And I had a conversation last night actually with my Kenyan family here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Shout out to my Kenyan family here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Kenya is probably the least Pan-African country in Africa. However, it's the people that really make that country beautiful. It's the people. And I've never been to a country, period, hands down, where they're so hospitable. They're so forthgiving. And even dealing with them in business, I have to be honest, I haven't had horror stories about somebody trying to rip me off and all these, stories you hear about people doing business in Africa. I must say, over the course of 12 years that I've been going to Kenya, I haven't had, those problems. I'm not going to say I've never had an issue at all. But in terms of just like, God dang, these people are just corrupt and all that. No, I have not had that problem in Kenya. So I would say, hands down, Kenya is by far my favorite country in the whole world.
That's so glad to hear. In my audience, you guys have heard I'm in a 3-year lawsuit still, but we let lawyers do their job in Kenya, and they do a great job. And when we're victorious, and I still love Kenya. I would still do business. I'm actually doing something very small right now, waiting for my samples in the mail, because Kenya is just the customer service. They know something about customer service that South Africa, I'm not saying you guys don't know customer service. It's just different in Kenya. And, I'll say for Sierra Leone, you guys, are fairly well, but it's just different. It's so welcoming. Cameroon, I didn't mention you because you guys have a ways to work on customer service. But we're here to teach. I'm just being straight up. Don't have to lie. What you gonna do to me? With this new company comes, sometimes new objectives. You now can kind of do everything that you're thinking of. You don't have to wait on a partner. What are we going to expect that's new for this year and next year? Because I know you have something big planned for the new year.
Yeah, I do. So with Traverse Culture, again, the objective is to really hone in on showcasing those contributions, right? Globally, and teaching people through travel, which is the nucleus of it all, that we're not limited to the continent in terms of who we are, right? And we're not a monolithic people, and people say that all the time. I think people regurgitate the same information, but not really understanding that because they haven't been able to experience it through travel and then take it a step further in terms of immersing themselves in these very diverse cultures. You caught that? Diversified game. So this year we'll be in Belize. Traverse Culture is now entering into Central America, where again we will see the beautiful contributions of the Garifuna people. These people are descendants of Saint Vincent, who migrated from Saint Vincent's. Well, let me say it truthfully. They were exiled out of St. Vincent because they were fighting against the British. And they migrated from there into Honduras, Belize, and Costa Rica. And so Traverse Culture is excited about this new partnership that we have with the Belizean government. Shout out to Belize City Council for welcoming Traverse Culture to curate Afro Belizean and Garifuna tourism that doesn't exist. So we have that coming September the 17th through the 28th. We're going to be celebrating Belizean independence with them, carnival, parade, all that good stuff. The mayor, shout out to their mayor, will be welcoming us on arrival. We have some really special stuff going on for that tour in September. And then we'll be returning back to Kenya. We have our annual tour every year between November or December of the year. And this year is going to be a bit different. We're going to be having our first pre-conference. It's called the Call to Action Celebration in Kenya, where we're going to be calling our sisters and brothers of the diaspora to join us in Nairobi, Kenya, to start what we believe is imperative basic relationship building through this 3-day conference that is infused in our 12-day tour, where we'll dive into, again, imperative conversations, city hall style. So it's not going to be a lot of academias talking about high-level conversations such as climate change and decolonization of philanthropy aid and sustainable development, which are all necessary. But before we can get to that, we have to understand our positions as two different, distinctive, culturally different people within the diaspora and on the continent before you can even address those issues. And then the part that Traverse Culture is very proud of, we've been able to analyze the situation of Pan-Africanism and what that mean and what that actually looked like. And what we found is we've been able to identify our similarities, but we haven't been able to identify the differences and leverage them. So we'll be able to showcase this. We'll be able to fellowship with our sisters and brothers in Nairobi. This is December the 28th through January the 8th, bringing in the New Year's in the motherland and really measuring our deliverables for our bigger conference for 2024, 2025.
Awesome. You guys got the game. And I can hear my Guatemalan brothers say, don't forget us. We got our food too.
That's true.
So, I can skip the emails and the comments and send them right to Kia and say, hey, Kia, can we do a tour out this way if you're interested? Because it's just crazy how our people are just everywhere, moving and grooving. Even those from my Fiji folks are like, we're from Africa too, and they all welcome us, to come check that out. Now, the big thing, for many people is, okay, can I travel? Will I like it? How long can I stay? These are all services with the new company that you can do. If somebody does love it, you can help them out with their business. You can help them out, finding schools for their kids. Am I correct?
Correct. So with Traverse Culture, we do offer humanitarian, relocation, and business development, i.e. investment opportunities. And we do consult you through the process of all of those services. We successfully, through worldviews, but transfer over to Traverse Culture, relocated our first family last year from Tennessee to Nairobi, Kenya, and they're currently still in Kenya right now as we speak. So yes, we do offer those services through Traverse Culture.
And we can't wait to see your follow-up with them and, given the game on, their story. I don't know if they have a YouTube channel like so many folks do. Okay, they say we're private, which I always love the private people because it's becoming rare and rare. Now, with moving there and somebody thinking, wow, I keep hearing good things about Kenya and, like they have a Kenyan family, somewhere in their city or their region. What would you say is a solid amount of money to move? Because I'm so tired of people moving with $2,000 or $5,000 and thinking that Africa is so cheap that you're about to live a year off even $15,000, a family of 4 or 5, and the mama always got to fly back. Funny how the mama always got to fly back, right? Something about that, which is a woman's world right now. So yes, but what is a solid amount of money that people should have to, go to Kenya to live?
That's a great question. What we found while building our integrated program is identifying what your motivation is. What's the motivation of relocating? If your motivation is to cut the cost, then we need to look at what you were spending in the United States. One good thing about the United States is that you can rob Peter to pay Paul. You can't do that in Africa, okay? If you don't have it, you don't have it, okay? But you got to have that money because there's no such thing as credit. There's no such thing as welfare. There's no such thing as government assistance and things of that nature. So if you're coming from a small city where you're spending, I don't know, maybe $1,500, I'm just throwing out a number, monthly, if you're a single person, and you want to move to Nairobi, which is the 4th fastest growing city in the entire continent, you might want to make sure you understand the amenities that you may be losing if you are trying to cut the cost of living in the States in Nairobi. Does that make sense? So yeah, if you try to move to Nairobi, specifically Nairobi, because it can be quite expensive, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. And you want a 1-bedroom, but you want air conditioned, you want internet, you want to be centrally located, you want to be in a gated community. You're gonna spend some money. You're gonna spend some money for that. And again, because there's no line of credit and things of that nature, you're gonna be paying up front in cash. So there's two.
Wait, say, I'm sorry, my Spanish had to kick in. Tell them again, because again, Americans, we're not used to everything. Is it West Africa? Sometimes it's a year in advance. Isn't it a year in advance of rent? Is that how that works?
No, now Kenya is month to month. Now you can pay month to month certain leases, right? And then some in some areas, if you're going in exclusive areas, those contracts are different, right? But in terms of yes, you have to pay at least a month in that month or 3 months in advance for your rent or things of that nature there.
But your
And yeah,
house, you have to pay up front because there is
up
no
front.
mortgage that they're going to give you.
Yeah. So there's options of mortgage, but their interest rate is like 15 to 28% on a mortgage. Okay. So we're still talking about a vast difference depending on what state you're coming from. Like, whoa, I'm not used to that. You know what I mean? So I would say again, whatever your motivation is to move to Kenya, identify that first. And again, if the motivation is to cut costs, just understand that you may not get all of the amenities that you're used to in the States in Kenya for the cost that you think you're going to get it.
Okay. And if you guys do say, oh, 15%, that's high, I'll give it to you at 13.9. Just holler at me. We gotta talk about the deal. Those type of numbers, they start getting happy. Now, safety in Kenya. I've been downtown Nairobi. I have been told, by Kenyans, hey, at night we ain't gonna come back down this deep in Nairobi, but I've always felt safe. But again, people say, we're not you, Kellen. It's like OJ. You ain't black. I'm OJ type thing. It may be the energy and the vibe that I give everywhere I go. Safety in Kenya, give us the game, because if we look at this national thing for America, the smart traveler is going to tell us, be cautious everywhere we go out of America, like Chicago and Oakland are the safest cities in the world.
Right. Yeah. To your point. I was having this conversation last night about
I was there, I try not to eavesdrop, but I was there.
Yeah, about Kenya and its safety. And I must say, I have never in 12 years ever had an issue with safety. Even during 2015, is it 2015? Yes. After the elections, I think it's 2015. If I'm wrong, someone will correct me. They had like an 8-hour standoff, right? And I was there actually the week before the incident at Westgate Mall. I was there a week before, and there were stories that people were throwing IUDs in the matatus and things of that nature. And I was there. And I still took the matatus. I still moved around. And I didn't have any issues. And they did have a standoff at the Westgate Mall. And you can attest to this. I take people to the Westgate Mall every time we go. And we don't have no issues.
Yeah, the malls are safe. The malls are very, very safe. But somebody will say, well, the IUDs, that's nothing to a GI Jane. You see those things, you either throw them back or disarm them because you're specialized. But but you've never seen it. But the malls also have metal detection. In South Africa, it's the same thing. When you go through the mall, I think our malls need it the way and our schools need it. Every single one of them. Reason why I homeschool, because I'm not trying to deal with that at all. But safety, they are taking it serious in Kenya.
This is true.
Tell the people how that freeway has changed the game. You know, at least through the Westlands we were loving that new freeway. Even through Kibera, you know, some streets and things have been done. Like Kibera is going to be the new Oakland or New York. But talk about the progress of Kenya a little bit from your eyes.
Absolutely. Kenya has grown. I know when I first went 12 years ago, they would ration their electricity. Like it would just turn off. And, you know, people used to it. So, you know, the lights turned off and people just kept on moving. I'm like, this happened. It's like, yeah, that's normal. They rationing electricity, you know, or whatever. And now when you go to Nairobi, that doesn't happen at all. They don't ration their electricity anymore. They progressed in the last 12 years. The interstate, forget it. They have the bypass. I have a video on my Instagram. Check out my Instagram, Traverse Culture. And I have a video. It says, this is Nairobi. And we're literally driving on the new bypass that takes you straight from the airport straight to Westlands without going through that hectic traffic in Nairobi, going through the CBD and, you know, those beautiful areas, but the traffic is ridiculous. So that bypass, man, is ridiculous. And you do pay a toll. And I could definitely see that the money is used through the toll fees as well. And yeah, Kibera, shout out to the community, man. We love it. We support Kibera wholeheartedly through our internship program now. My actual physical office is right outside of Kibera. My operations manager, thanks to you, Kellen, she is from Kibera. Shout out to Mora. And she's the queen of Kibera. But yeah, there's a lot of great things that's going on in Kibera. And the last time I was there, we actually went to a club in Kibera that was very nice, very, very nice. And so I think I'm gonna do a private party out there the next time because it's pretty dope.
Did you take pictures and video? I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I have video. I posted one video of me dancing, but I'm gonna post some videos of this club on my new Instagram page for Traverse Culture.
Man, and when Kia start dancing, she get into it. She say she can't do it no more, but the split, watch out, just give her room. Just give her room. That short frame will go low and come on. She knows how to have a good time, and then that's good. And I know she don't always like me mentioning that. She's like, Kellen, but you know, I just when somebody's in their zone, you appreciate it, you feel it, and you're really in your zone when you're in Kenya, when you're at the party, when you're doing your thing, having a good time. You know, and for the audience, you know, we're talking about a new business, and I could spend, you know, a whole show if I want to talk about the old business and get into messy drama. I'm gonna wait for her to go to Vlad or somewhere like that. Or if she says, Kelly, can we do just the messy hour? But I really want to give you guys the game so you can learn something you can use. And that bad news, that bad energy, you can go somewhere else with it because we don't want to have positive vibes. Let the people know what the community give back is for this new company, because it's really kind of like two companies in one. Here's a lesson, y'all. When you're in America, you're doing your business here in America, but then you go to another country and create it. And unless you want to pay your tax guy a lot of money, you have to have a different name, but because it gets complicated. There's some free 99 game for y'all listening. But talk about a community give back that this new companies are doing or that you're going to do in the future.
Yes. So we heavily support the community of Kibera. We love the resilientness of the community and what it stands for. And so Traverse Culture here in the United States and Traverse Culture Africa in Nairobi supports the St. Martin School right there in the heart of Kibera. We love the children of St. Martin's. Shout out to St. Martin's. We donate and we actually have that integrated into our itinerary. So once you purchase our itinerary or our package, you're already giving back in a humanitarian way right there to the children in Kibera. Yeah.
Okay, that's a big thing because
Yeah.
school is necesito. I talk about college, how here in America, people are going into debt, wasting their time a lot of times because you can't get a job with it, what you have. But we're talking about kids just being able to learn how to read and write, and what it costs is not, it's not a lot of money to us, but somehow governments can't find a way to fund them. It's just, you can do tanks though. That's just the government thing. Governments can do tanks always.
Right.
Education for free, huh? Wait, why would we do that? Well, let the people know where they can find you, how they can connect. And she said Belize is coming up, y'all. We got
Yes.
some more Kenya. There's always something going on at their website. Charlotte, maybe there's something going on because what a great city that is. If y'all haven't been to Charlotte, y'all missing out on that's Black everything
Yes.
out that way. It's beautiful, but give the people the game where to find you, and we can all. And any last words?
Yeah. One, thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just excited for what Traverse Culture will be doing in the future in terms of, again, exposing our people or anyone to what we have done globally as a people. You can find us at tverse.com. That's TVERZE.com. That is our website. You can also follow us on Instagram, Traverse Culture, Facebook, Traverse Culture, YouTube, Traverse Culture, Twitter, Pinterest, all of those great social media outlets. You can find us through Traverse Culture on TikTok as well.
And this might be some game overload. This is for the veterans. There's a ton of veterans who are homeless. There's a ton of veterans who are struggling. You come, you do your service, ain't no job for you. In New York, the veterans just had to move over for the immigrants from their living situation.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about what steps you made while being in the military and then doing government contracting, which, of course, everybody online, you got every podcast, you need to get into government contracting like it's the easiest thing to do. Like they just are going to open the door, especially if you're a veteran. They just make it seem like that, which is a lie from the pit of hell. You go through the same hoops and jumps. They just say we got this dangling carrot. Can you talk about a move that you did that allows you to now live your dream? You're still young, Black don't crack. A lot of people want to know, how do you do it? Coming from where you came from, being able to pay the bills. There ain't no sugar daddy paying the bills. I know that. And your retirement from, the military service, it's never $1 million. I don't care how much disability you have, but give the people just how you did it who might be going into the military or coming out.
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, excuse me, I was serving in Iraq, in Mosul, and I was working with some contractors who were making some very good money doing the same job we were doing. I was like, hold up, wait a minute. Now this ain't adding up. Like, I need to get out and do what you doing. And so essentially I got out and before I got out, I started calling people who I knew were already doing contracting with, like KBR, Honeywell, Vectress, DynCorp. For those who are listening who understand or know the contracting, these are some key players in the contracting world, especially KBR. Everybody know KBR. And I started while I was processing to get out of the military, calling the recruiters every day. To your point, it ain't no low-hanging fruit. It is work. It is you calling and harassing the recruiters and sending your resume every day and asking them, hey, do you have an opening yet? I'm available to leave tomorrow. What do I need to do? I got my passport. I've done my physical. I got my dental work done. I got all of this stuff ready. Like, what do I need to do? I got my vaccines. Of course, you have to be vaccinated. So for those who are anti-vaccine, vaccine, contract ain't gonna work for you because it's still you have to comply with the military laws or government standards. So I had all of those things done because of course I'm ex-military. And luckily it took me 3 months to get on after I got out the military. And so I got my first job with Honeywell in Afghanistan. And then while I was there, a month later, I met my first Kenyan. My first Kenyan, shout out to James Milawasi, who was working in Afghanistan. And he is the one that got me the better job only after being there for a month in Afghanistan.
Can you talk about some of the work that you're doing, that you did out there? Because people always say government contracting, and sometimes it can be sexy, sometimes it can be, some stuff where your hands are dirty.
Right.
Can you talk about the work, because to give
Mhm.
people a realistic idea, because there's so much bad information out there.
Okay. Yeah. So I was doing in the military, I was HR. My background was HR. And then when I got out, my first job in Afghanistan, I was doing escort. I was an escort. I was an escort. And what that is when people come off of the flight line or the tarmac, for those who understand flight line or tarmac, we would go out on the tarmac and escort our guests or personnel into the waiting room arriving in Afghanistan. Real simple. And I ain't gonna lie, going from the military doing HR at brigade level and doing this, I was like, oh my God, this is so beneath me. I need I need a better job. And so after meeting James and James putting me on, I went from being an escort to a MCT coordinator. That's a movement control coordinator. So in simple words, logistics of personnel and cargo. And so we work directly on the flight line, directly with the Army, um, where we moved personnel all through Afghanistan and cargo all through Afghanistan as well.
And if I was messy, I would take that I was an escort, and then that part where you say, ration, and then I put the Janet Jackson ration in that in poetic justice. I put that together and say, check how this person went from the military to escorting and ration, if we were messy, but we're
Right.
not. And you guys have been blessed with the game and even the game overload on
Mhm.
how you can do it and then go into entrepreneurship. And
Yes.
then, the last thing that they may ask though, but okay, after you get out of contracting,
Mhm.
do you put all your money into investments and get residuals every month? Or how do you make that work? Because a lot of people have a problem budgeting. It's not the money
Yes.
they make is the problem, it's the budgeting.
Man, I saw that so many times. Over in Afghanistan, I had met this one electrician guy who had been there almost 10 years. He told me to my face he had never saved over $50,000 at one time because he was going back and forth to the Philippines and Thailand.
Okay,
So,
he was buying it all up, and we know, yeah,
eh,
yeah, we
right,
got it.
right. So that
Yeah.
part. But what I was able to do, and again, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When I came home for the first time in 2014, built me a house and all this other stuff.
A
And
beautiful big one, y'all. A big, big.
thank you. Um, and I have a son, so I am a mom as well. And I came back and I invested in um one of my dreams and it didn't work. And so guess what I had to do? Go back to contracting 2016. Um, And this time I was focused on what my intentions were and what the end game was. Because the first go round was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna save this amount of money, which I did, and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out in terms of my investment ideas and options. It just didn't work out. But when I went back over, I was more focused. I had more opportunity because I actually took a contracting job in dang near Russia. uh and I was able to meet different people, networking and things of that nature. So when I came back home this time, I was very intentional, and that's when I started Worldviews, and it's been up from there. It's 5 years later.
Gotcha. You guys, you hear sometimes it doesn't work out. We try not to glamorize someone's life, that like there's no downfalls. There's ups and downs in business, and that's the fun of business, and it's how you come back up. It's man, they say it's all about that journey, and it's so true. So you guys got the game. The next move is on you. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, but make sure you share it with somebody. It will change their life. Y'all be blessed.
Hi everyone! Have you ever been curious about visiting Africa? Which African country were you interested in? Kenya, Nigeria, Uganda, South Africa, Ethiopia? Which country are you interested in? My good friend Kellen Cash Coleman came up with a course called My First Trip to Africa that'll guide you through this process. It's only $20, and in this course you'll learn about passports, visas, vaccinations that you need before you go there, as well as a budget, how much the trip is going to cost. He also talks about what you should pack, what you should take with you, how you should travel on a budget. Did you know that $100 is worth 1,000 South African rand and over 10,000 Kenyan shillings? So imagine what you can do with $100 back home. I say back home because I'm from Sudan, I'm African, I already know how it's like. I know that, when you convert Canadian and American money, it goes a long way when you're traveling across Africa. So if you're curious, if Africa is a place that you've always wanted to go, always wanted to move there, Kellen Cash is the person to ask. Check out the course. There's a little preview you can listen to before you actually purchase it. If you're interested in this course, visit www.diversifiedgame.com. Don't miss out.